Thank you very much for coming today. As you can see, we are the United Planet Faith and Science Initiative. Faith and science, two of the strongest forces on the planet today. There's a consensus, a unique consensus between those two forces that we have a problem. I think everyone here at the COP knows that. That's patently obvious. And we're doing a live show from the UN, from the climate talks, called Climate Matters. I'm your host, Stuart Scott. Here we are live in Paris at the 21st Conference of Parties to the Kyoto Protocols, COP21. And this is my email address, should you want to get in touch after the program for any reason whatsoever. Now, today's guest with us is Kisilu Musia, a Kenyan farmer. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. Yes, Kisilu? Yeah. Okay. Bring your microphone in very close. One moment.
Thank you.
Now, before we ask Kisilu to tell his story, I want to share with you some hashtags, especially if you're watching webcast live or in the future. Here are the hashtags we'd like you to use if you're tweeting. And today's topic, our challenge to feed ourselves. Kisilu is here representing one of the frontline nations, Kenya, in what's happening to farming on the planet. And we'll hear from Kisilu his story. This is Kenya, for those of you who, like I, are not geography whizzes. I wasn't sure where in Africa it was, so I looked it up. Now, Kisilu, first, would you tell us how climate change is affecting you and your family and your neighbors?
Climate change is affecting me in many ways. One thing, it has reduced my production in my farms. It is breaking my houses with the strong winds, which were not formerly found in our area. It is also making me not to be correctly timing the rains because there is irregularity in the seasons. And also, it is forcing me also to shift from the seeds that I've been using for a long time to start investigating for some others. Or else, initially, I was not so much conversant on how I can do research for some seeds. But with the time, I thank God that I'm now becoming expert in selecting seeds. It is forcing me now to become a researcher also, the same climate change. Because unless I become a scientist now in carrying some researches, I can't survive in farming.
So You're becoming a scientist now in researching what new seeds you have to use, what new methods you have to use to adapt?
Yeah, the circumstances now of climate change are forcing me to become a scientist. Yes.
Interesting. Now, again, we're doing this program not as Poor Kenya. We're doing this program as what we are looking at across the world. It's just coming at Poor Kenya first. So Kisilu's experience is a model for what farmers all over the world either are or will be experiencing. Now, you've told us how you've adapted somewhat. Are there any more ways that you've had to change to adapt to what's happening?
Yeah. As a small-scale farmer now, seeing all what is happening, I decided to have more than 3 enterprises in my activities. In my farm, I'm planting trees, I'm planting crops as an enterprise, I'm keeping livestock, and at the same time, I'm mixing my crop farming with the livestock. That is.
So how do you make these parts interrelate? How do they work together for you?
Actually, these enterprises are supporting me very much. For I'm saying that I'm a small-scale farmer, I don't have enough money to go to big shops and buy fertilizers and what have you. But now I'm privileged to use my enterprise to support each other because I'm forming my organic manure from the waste from the farm and also the waste from my small livestock that I have to manufacture my own organic manure. And for that matter, I'm now starting benefiting from the enterprises direct.
Wonderful. Now, in developed nations, we have something called permaculture, which, after talking with Kisilo earlier, I realized that he is doing permaculture. He's practicing it. He hasn't studied it formally, but he is doing it. And again, farmers all over the world will need to do that, to use their manures. And it's said that if you use the manure for your farm, it's not a problem. But if you grow your cattle in feedlots to create hamburgers and feed people, it is a problem. Piles of manure create methane. So he's farming in a very organic way, good for the planet. Now, you also have one occupation, essentially, that you haven't mentioned. From what I understand, you're an educator. How do you share your learning, your knowledge with your neighbors?
Yeah. In the issue of tree planting, I was forced to start tree planting because of climate change, fighting. And as I moved on, I came to realize that I alone, I cannot make any difference as it pertains climate change. I tried my level best to start moving around and convincing my fellow farmers to see the sense of popping in the tree planting. And actually, I volunteered myself to go around, and still I'm on the way, moving around and involving and also requesting many more to join. And we are doing it at our home area.
Is this just your village, or have you been asked to go to other villages as well?
Well, you know, nobody is requesting me to do so. But my few friends also try to inform me that few planters, as we are, we can't change anything. Then there, I just create incentive of going further and request them to do so.
Has the government responded? Have you gotten any assistance from the government?
Yeah. I can say in 2 areas supported by my government, because we wrote proposals advocating that we would like to do farming, and we are not actually doing our best because of financial status.
Because of what?
Financial status.
Financial status, of course, yes. Money makes the world go round, we say. Yes.
Yeah. And they came to our area, and also they interviewed us. And when they moved back, after a week, we received a call to find that they have given us a certain project, that is irrigation, a small-scale irrigation kit.
Irrigation.
Irrigation.
So they came up with the idea of the irrigation project, or did you ask them for it?
We requested for, because we know the road time is becoming very long, and the community is just seated idle, of which if we could have something to do, we could have used our time economically. Yeah.
Again, talking with Kisilu earlier today, one of the problems they're up against is the variation, the extreme drought going into extreme rain. I believe earlier you said that the climate change has ruined your house. Kisilu went, as I understand it, from a very dry period to unprecedentedly heavy rains that destroyed his house and his possessions. So this variation is a theme we're seeing all over the planet now. Again, in African nations, in other developing nations, it's more of an issue because it's harder to replace your house. The materials aren't there. But again, this is all coming to a neighborhood near you soon. So this is a model of what's going on the planet. Now, why did you come here to Paris?
in the spirit of feeling like spreading the gospel of climate change, I collaborated with my friends from Norway who came to our area finding farmers who are strongly dipping themselves in agriculture to interview. I was one of them, and we came in touch and became friends on this issue. I filmed myself for 4 good years.
For how many years?
4 good years.
4 years?
4 years, yes.
Oh.
And we formed a film where now is my easiest way of spreading the gospel of climate change to the whole world. When we heard of the CAP being held at Paris, I was also invited to come and join and at least spread the gospel through film showing. So I'm here to request my friends through showing the film and also talking with them verbally to see whether we can as well join all of us and fight climate change.
Now that's wonderful. You used a word 3 or 4 times there, gospel, so spreading the gospel of climate change. Now we're here probably at a conference where almost to a person everyone knows the reality of climate change. So in the West we say you're preaching to the choir here, but we are doing this through cameras to the rest of the world. And I will say that there are some people here who are still saying, no, climate change is not real. To them we have to preach the gospel of climate change, but you're preaching a certain part of the gospel, adaptation to climate change, because all nations everywhere on earth will need to adapt. We have already done enough damage to the climate system that all nations are feeling it. So you are preaching the gospel of climate change adaptation, if I can add it. Now, I'd like to take a moment and give you a non-commercial break. Ordinarily in a TV program you have commercial breaks where people are trying to sell you things. Here we don't try to sell you anything, we're trying to offer you something. In this case it's available on demand, I believe. Casilo's film is called The Climate Diaries, and it is available now online on Al Jazeera Witness. And we have a trailer from that film. It brought me to tears earlier today when I saw it for the first time. Please, I'd like to share it with you. And for this, we'll need the sound up. This slide sometimes does not cooperate. There we go. Can we get sound?
When the rain fails, every farmer feels like running away.
This is the food I have right now in my house. It's for 2 days.
She told my father, don't die. And for sure I promised her I won't die.
I sometimes ask him why are the rest of men now going for some employment and he does not go. Now how will we survive?
You have to overlook some facts. You can be in bad terms with your family members, hearing that you have nothing for their bellies. Unfortunately, that is a very big problem to some people and to me. Christine, what can you say about rain today?
No, I think when we look on the sky, it seems as if it will rain soon.
You happy with it?
I'm very happy with it. It's the mother of all living things.
Another season we were crying, no rain. Now we are talking of flood. Lakini nina mwezi tamizi tamemana suita wa climate change. Ndio ndeke kakenya na ke kapote sa location weto ni kubanda muti. We kwatha yola wagwatiala no ngina withie wigite sa ibandu wapi ngisa kugwa kuna atialela nengutia miti ya nondo mana. No mujira ne beba ngona umwe balo. No.
Has this ever happened before?
Marvelous. We have two of the filmmakers here with us and another woman with them, and I'd like to salute you for the wonderful work. So Casilla was aided in this project, but I think a lot of the footage, you can tell the handheld stuff was all, Casilla is one of the primary cameraman for this film. Wonderful. And again, I encourage you to go see it on Al Jazeera Witness. Now, how are you using this film to communicate your message? Oh, actually, before we go on, I want to bring up at the point one more time. There we go. I believe humanity's challenge will soon be for us all to feed ourselves. Again, Kisilo and his family are on the front lines. Now, I'm going to show you 4 slides. I often show these when I do presentations on climate change. These 4 slides are the result of research by the University Corporation for Atmospheric Research in the United States. The research came out in this form in 2012. I'll show you 4. The first one is the first decade of this century, where colors towards the red end, purple, violet, pink, represent drier conditions than normal, extreme drought. Colors towards the blues, dark blues, indigos, are wetter than normal on the whole. There's, again, variation, but on the whole. And the yellows and greens are quote-unquote normal conditions. There's Kenya, but look wherever you come from. The second slide, third slide, and fourth slide show you the 1/3, 2/3, and final decade of this century. Look where your home is. 2030 through 39, 2060 through 69, and 2090 through 99. And again, if you look at Kenya, Kenya gets wetter on average. So the floods will be more of the problem than the droughts. But look at what will agriculture in the Mediterranean area be like? Toast. The heartland of the United States, the breadbasket of the United States, very difficult. Perhaps an empty breadbasket. The Amazon. Southern Africa, large swaths where it will be very difficult to adapt. Not enough rain, simply not enough rain. And then a few places that will be wetter than usual. And most of the food growing capacity will be in northern Russia, perhaps northern China, northern Canada, where the soils are not developed, where the conditions will be right, but the soils are not there. This is coming to a neighborhood near each of us over the course of this century. Now, Casilo, let me go on to that question of how you're using your film here in Paris. How are you using it to communicate your message, here and elsewhere?
Yeah. I started in Oslo, where I managed to go to universities, show the film, and share with them. I received some questions from the audience, I try to answer. And also, I'm sharing it through my friends who wish to send it to somebody. I'm not refusing its spread in any way. When I came to this COP, I had an event where I shared it with my friends, and also in the evening I filmed. And I'm still going around and trying to talk with the people. And if they develop need to have it, and just give them the contact to go it from the Al Jazeera, where it is also found. Yeah, it is open for every media, and I'm ready also to share in any way possible to spread to the whole world.
So you are a roving minister of the gospel of climate change, shall we say. You'll take the film and go anywhere.
Yeah, so because with the time I came to realize 80% of this world are employed through farming. And the condition becoming that worse, it means with the time we will run short of food, and probably governments will get it hard to support their communities.
And there is, as many of us have connected the dots, there's a war going on, a civil war that started in Syria, which was the result of drought and famine, and the farmers wanted the government to respond, and the civil war developed. I think that's pretty much a climate war that's going on right now. So I thank you. I thank you for bringing your work all over, because that you just gave me a new piece of information I'll add to my knowledge, which is that 80% of the population of Earth are involved in farming. Is that what you said? 80% of the world are farmers? No? I didn't understand the...
I'm saying majority of world's population are farmers. And if that sector collapses, it means then we won't be able to support the world.
Got it.
We are the producers of food taken.
Yeah. No, I was questioning the number in my head, because I know in my country there are only 1 to 2% of the population is farmers, as opposed to Indonesia, where 60 to 70% are farmers are involved in the raising of food. So Indonesia is arguably in a better position because more people know how to grow food. Hopefully they're adapting too. Now, what are your goals here, and have you achieved your goals here in Paris?
Actually, I'm very happy, so happy, because I was very surprised and happy to see everybody coming from different countries as a tool to fight climate change. That is a very good combination. Only some few who are showing reluctance in joining. I'm failing to understand what the reason. The issue of climate change is hard and experienced by almost everybody. I understand that they are just deliberately refusing to understand. I request them to join, and I'm looking forward to see the positive response to the issue.
So, again, only a few countries you think are not understanding, or, as James Hansen said yesterday, are pretending to not understand.
Yeah, I can say so.
They're making believe they don't understand.
Yeah.
But I think all nations understand that we have a problem. As we say in the movies in America, Houston, I think we have a problem. So thank you very much, Kisilu. Do we have any questions? Is there anybody who... I think the presentation was pretty self-contained, so thank you very much. Oh, yes, please.
I would just like to say thank you for being here, and I've been to your beautiful country, and I think what you do is amazing, and I thank you for being here, and I'm so glad I stayed. Thank you.
And thank you for staying. Anyone else, a comment or a question? No, good. So, again, this is, there is one more? Yes, please.
I would like to add my thanks too. I think what you're doing is really wonderful and courageous.
Yes, courageous is the right word. Like I say, I don't think he expected to be an educator and a preacher of the gospel of climate change. So he's rising to his challenge. He's stepping into the shoes of where many people need to be, spreading knowledge to others and spreading a message to others. So I think he's one of the climate heroes. We should have a Climate Heroes Award in addition to the Fossil Fuel of the Day Award. Speaking of which, we're getting close to 6 o'clock. So I want to thank you all very much for coming to this Climate Matters show, and those of you who've watched the webcast or will watch the webcast. And again, I invite you to get in touch with me by email if you'd like in the future. Thank you very much, Kisilo.